engine. It's time for ScottyKilmer.com. You don't need to be superhuman to save money buying a used car. You just need to know how to use your head. The first thing you want to discover when you're buying a used car is if it's been in a wreck. So here's a tip. Here's a simple test that you can do to find if the car's been in a wreck, and you only need to use your hand. Go to the left front tire and put your hand between the tire and the body of the car. In this case, it's a little bit more than 4 fingers. Then you walk to the other side of the car and do the same thing. And as you can see, it's the same, a little over 4 fingers, so it's not bent. If you would have had 2 fingers on one side and 4 fingers on the other side, then the frame or the front end would be bent. Don't buy the vehicle. And of course, do the same thing with the back tires. Now, if you're looking to buy a used vehicle that's less than 15 years old, the best way to check out an engine isn't to look under the hood. You want to look at this. It's a scan tool that analyzes your computer in the car and gives you all kinds of information if there's something wrong. A mechanic can use it and analyze all kinds of stuff. But if you don't want to go to a mechanic, there's another option. There's companies like AutoZone that will scan your computer free and give you any trouble codes if they exist. And if they do have trouble codes, look for another vehicle. Now, with all the flooding we've been having lately, you might be worried about buying a flooded car. So all you need is a flashlight and your nose. Look up under the dash. If you see lots of shiny metal, that's good. If the metal's rusty, that's bad. The car's been flooded and don't buy it. Then you can look around, pick up the rugs a little and smell. If it smells all moldy and you see rust, might have been a flood car, don't buy it. And be real leery about a car that's heavily perfumed. People will often spray the perfume to hide the mold smell. Now, some older cars will have fluid leaks, but that's easy to check. Just make sure the area where the car's parked doesn't have any oil in it. Then take your car for a 10 or 15 minute road test to see how it runs and bring it back to the same spot. Then check for drips. If there's no drips, then nothing's leaking and it's okay. You may not know it, but most modern day air conditioning systems in cars are computer driven. And like hell, they can turn against you and you won't have any cold air. So this morning I'm going to show you how to bypass your air conditioning computer system with a simple little $30 thermostat switch. Your air conditioning clutch is turned on by an electric switch, and if the computer isn't working right, it won't turn it on. So here's how you can bypass all the computers. Unplug the switch, then get some wire and run wire from the switch inside the vehicle. There's a million holes in your car to go through. Where this cable goes through, there's a rubber outlet. Just push it through with a screwdriver, then run the wire inside. Then after you pull the wire through, connect one end to a toggle switch, which you can mount anywhere that you want. Just drill a little hole and bolt it in. Then you get your thermostat and connect the wire to the in right here. Now comes the hard part. This measures the temperature of your evaporator. On the Ford, the evaporator is right here in this plastic case. You drill a tiny little hole. Now be careful when you're drilling a hole because you don't want to make a hole in the evaporator. You only need to drill it about that deep. Just find a nice part in the plastic tubing and then you get the end of the tube and push it in the hole until it rubs against the evaporator and it's touching it so it measures the temperature. Then run a wire to the out to your battery. Now when you connect it to the positive terminal of your battery, make sure you use a fuse assembly to make the whole thing safe. This is a 10 amp fuse, which is good for the AC clutch. Now if your AC computer goes bad and you want to fix it the way it was designed, sometimes you have to spend $700 or $800. This little thermostat, hey, it only costs $30. Now this particular thermostat was designed for a Mazda, but they all work the same way. They measure the temperature in the evaporator, and you can set them colder or warmer by turning these little screws. Now they may not have them in stock, but they can order for you at any good auto parts store. They're not that expensive, and as you can see, they're very simple to put in. That's the way cars used to be when things were simpler and cost less to fix. So if your car's air conditioning computer hasn't been working right lately, forget space-age technology. Buy yourself one of these $30 thermostats. If your vehicle has a failure of communication, it's often the computer not communicating correctly with the engine. Many vehicles from 1996 onwards have computers that are reprogrammable. So today I'm going to show you a new tool, the Flash 2 Reprogrammer by Cardone Industries. It reprograms the computer on your vehicle without taking anything off. It just plugs into the dash so it can save you money and make the vehicle run correctly again. Now the first thing you need to do is to go to the internet to get the latest software updates for your vehicle. Since this is a Ford Ranger, we go to motorcraftservices.com. Then we go down to reprogramming and initialization and click on it. Now one end of the reprogrammer plugs into the data port under the steering wheel. Then the other end of the reprogrammer plugs into the USB port of your computer. Since it's a Ford, we'll click on the Ford reprogramming. What happens next is your computer is downloading all the new Ford software. When it's done, it passes that information through the reprogrammer and goes into the vehicle's computer and reprograms it. The whole process from downloading it to reprogramming the vehicle's computer takes about half an hour. So with this device, any good mechanic can reprogram the computer on your vehicle and do it correctly. So if you think your vehicle's computer isn't communicating correctly, don't trash your computer. Reprogram it. This is Scotty Kilmer helping you crank it up. I found a problem with cars that make stooges of even good mechanics. And here's what it is. Now, cars are just like people. They have to breathe in, so make sure the filters are clean, but they also have to breathe out. Your car breathes out through the tailpipe. If the exhaust system is clogged up, it won't run right. And in modern day cars, it's usually the catalytic converter that clogs up. So I'm going to show you how to check them. Since the catalytic converter is on the bottom of the car, we're jacking it up so we can see it better. Well, here's the catalytic converter, but it's a sealed unit, so how do you check it? Well, I'm going to drill a hole and measure the exhaust pressure with this little gauge, and it'll tell us if it's clogged up. First, you drill a little 1/4-inch hole in the pipe.
Hey, Scotty, what are you doing to my car?
No, I've got these little metal plugs to fill the holes up when I'm done. Then you stick the gauge in the hole to measure the pressure behind the catalytic converter. We'll start the engine and see what the pressure is. Well, the pressure behind it is less than 1 pound. It's in the green, so it's fine behind. Now I'm going to drill a hole in front of the cat and measure the pressure there. Now when I hook the hose up in front of the catalytic converter, it has almost 15 pounds pressure. That means that the pressure is building up in front of the catalytic converter because it's clogged up. It needs a new catalytic converter. And here's a couple mechanics tips. If your car has less than 70,000 miles on it, or is less than 7 years old, there's a federal warranty covering the catalytic converters. You get one for free. If it's older than that, or you have more mileage, go to a discount muffler store and they can weld a universal cat on and save you a whole bunch of money. So don't let your mechanic make a simple job complicated. Are you having a hard time getting a wiring system in your car fixed? Well, today's your lucky day, because I'm going to show you how to find wiring shorts in your car. All you really need is a little $8 test light. And I'm so cheap, when mine broke, I spliced the wire back together. If you think you've got a short in your car's electrical system, first make sure the headlights are turned off and no electrical accessories are turned on. Then go to your battery, loosen the negative terminal, and take it off. Then get the test light and take the alligator clip and put it on the negative terminal of the battery. Then take the pick end and shove it into the negative terminal of the battery, and if you noticed, the light is now on. Since the light came on, that means electricity is flowing and there's a short somewhere in the system. But we don't want to end up like Curly wondering where it is. So under the hood we go to the fuse box and take the cover off. Then pull the fuses out one at a time. With the fuse pulled out, see if the light has gone out. It hasn't, so we got to pull another fuse. Keep pulling out fuses until the light goes out. Now the light's gone out, so that's the circuit that has the short in it. Then you look on the top of the fuse box. It's for the cigarette lighter. So let's go inside the car. If you use your cigarette lighter all the time to recharge your cell phone, that can lead to problems in your cigarette lighter where you plug it in. These outlets weren't made to be plugged in and out thousands of times, and eventually they break, which is what's happened here. Okay, so it's called a power outlet today, but it's the same thing as a cigarette lighter. It just unscrews and you can buy a new base for it. It's come to my attention that many people drive automatic cars because they don't know how to drive a standard. But if you can't drive an automatic transmission, you're missing out on a lot of fun. So today I'm going to talk all about standard transmissions. To begin with, standard transmissions get really good gas mileage. I'm a fast driver, but on this tank I'm averaging 30 miles a gallon. And even though this Ford only has a 4-cylinder engine, it's extremely quick with a standard transmission, because standard transmissions have no slippage, they're direct drive. On the other hand, an automatic transmission uses automatic transmission fluid to drive it. There's always some fluid slippage, so they don't work as efficiently. So with the standard transmission car, not only can you drive faster, but you can get better gas mileage. Now some people don't want to drive a standard because they think the clutch is too hard to push in. But that's not true anymore. Modern cars use hydraulic clutches. They're smooth, just like brake systems. Very easy to operate. And perhaps best of all, standard transmissions are very reliable. They need little maintenance at all. And if you've ever paid a mechanic like myself thousands of dollars to fix a late model automatic transmission, you'll appreciate that fact. I learned to drive a standard transmission car when I was 16 years old, and it only took about half an hour. So if you're thinking about buying a new car, why not think standard transmission and have a lot of fun? There's one thing you should always remember when you get in your car, and that's to always buckle your seatbelt in before you start the car so you don't forget. Now, a lot of people think, hey, I've got airbags. Why should I buckle up my seatbelts? Well, here's why. Now, this airbag is only going to fire once in the first collision. If you get hit again, you might get knocked out of the car. And besides, do you really trust that this thing is going to work? And besides, it's the law that you have to wear seatbelts. Do you want these guys coming after you? Well, actually, you might want these guys to come over. They've got a machine that'll convince you to wear your seatbelts. And this machine is so serious, you have to sign a release waiver in order to ride it.
Scotty, I have a release form for you right here. Must be 18 years of age or older. Must be mentally competent. Must be in good physical condition. Must have no prior or current back or neck problems, including surgery. Must have no prior or current heart disease. Okay, Scotty, what this does is simulates a crash into a solid fixed object at a speed of less than 10 miles per hour. In other words, when this sled hits the bottom of the ramp right here, you're going to be going less than 10 miles per hour, impacting a solid fixed object, because even at a low speed like this, hitting something solid like that is just a major impact. 3, 2, 1, here we go.
Oh! Whoa! Whoa! That convinced me. Now, how can you convince other people? How can they get a hold of you so they can try this out?
Well, Scotty, to get the seatbelt convincer to come out to your location, if you have a church, a large organization, you can contact the Houston Police Department at the Public Affairs Division, and that number is 713-308-3200. And we'll write up a program request and come out and show you, hey, how important it is to wear your seatbelt.
Now, here's a tip. If you're cheap like me and you drive an old car, hey, these seatbelts wear out after a while. On this one, the latch broke. Well, rather than spend $200 on a factory one, hey, I went to AutoZone, and for $15, I got a seatbelt that I was able to put in, and it works fine. So if you're worried about bad things happening while you're driving, remember to wear your seatbelt. This is Scotty Kilmer helping you crank it up. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.